There they go into the back. The blue light on. We have a race, and Satnova's beaten Pure Steel out by a length and a half.
Welcome to Talking Trots, hosted by Mortz and Michael Radley on Tab Radio, Racing and Sport.
The sensational Sydney sider, Seals to Sam, comes off the back straight. He's a bucket load of alliteration, this fellow.
Scott Bomber Hill will join the boys to look at the Friday night meeting at Gloucester Park.
Here comes Quinny. I'm the mighty Queen is 4 deep and letting go.
Sit back and enjoy Talking Trots with Mortz and Michael Radley.
I'm the mighty Queen is just in front. Dasher VC can do no more. And the West Australian champion has done it again.
Yes, hello and welcome to another big edition of Talking Trots. Unfortunately, I'm solo again this week. For everyone out there listening, Mortz is away one more week. He's back. He looks refreshed on social media, raring to go, and he's going to come back, have a week, and then head to Sydney, where he gets to see Never Ending take on the Eureka in the world's richest race, representing WA, with a WA-bred horse, trained, slot, and it's exciting to see Never Ending as he prepares. And he's going to have a race this Saturday night, and we'll chat about that a little bit later on. But a big show coming up. We're going to chat to Mike Tanev from Canada. He's the owner of Artie's Be Mickey and the Artie's Horses, also Artie's Express, the recent Queensland Oaks winner in Artie Be Mickey. So he's got a big investment here in Australia, and we're going to catch up with Mike in just a moment. Bomber Hill's going to be wasn't a great week last week, very tough, but we'll bounce back this week. And Ollie Cownie, who is in good form, we'll chat to Ollie a little bit later on about some provincial and country tips, and also see if we can find another winner at Albion Park on Saturday night. But our special guest this week is all the way from Canada. He's taken his time out to chat to us, and he's got the favourite in Friday night's August Cup, Group 3 level, $50,000 over the 25-36 metres. She's drawn the pole. The outstanding mare, Denny Roberts, is aboard, trained by Team Bond. He opened up even money on Tab Touch into $1.80. And she's undefeated in WA. And before we speak to Mike, let's go back to her last start performance, where she was once again too good.
8-6 and Artie by the Seaside is clear. Dropped off Bet or Rain. Paul Edward runs to second. Karana runs to third. And then getting through Infinite Sign and wide out is Armour X Factor around the turn though. And the leader Artie by the Seaside by 7 metres to Paul Edward and Karana in that 28-6, just scorched away from them. Karana runs to second on the outside, followed by Paul Edward. Infinite Sign's running a good race. Artie by the Seaside in front is stopping near the line but wins by a couple of metres. Great run, Karana. Infinite Sign at big odds.
Well, Artie by the Seaside has certainly made a big impression in WA, and I'm very pleased to say we got her owner all the way from Canada on the line, Mike Tanev. Mike, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, really, really excited to chat to you. And tell you what, since Artie's by the Seaside has come to WA, she's really made a big impression with 5 starts for 5 wins. You must be delighted how she's gone.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when she left New Zealand, she left after her last race where she won the Grade 1. So, I've always thought highly of her. She had to race against Millwood Nike over there a bunch of times, and unfortunately, we never got to beat her. But she wasn't in that last race, the Grade 1, where we won. And at that point in time, it was, obviously she's a really good horse in my own mind. And what are my options? And, it was funny that, I think I've got some pretty good horses down there, and no one has even picked up the telephone to call me to see if they were, for sale. There's a lot of New Zealand horses obviously going to Australia to race. And I actually picked up the telephone and called Greg. Never did know him from a hole in the ground. And we got a connection right away. And we end up working a deal where, I could send the horse over to him, under a 50-50, racing agreement. And, I retained her breeding rights at the end of it. And it's been nothing short of magnificent so far.
Well, she's been a real revelation, even though she won, as you said, the Group 1 New Zealand Oaks. She's come over here and she's just continue to go from strength to strength. And as you say, like Greg and Sky Bond have done a great job with her. Could you expect it how well she's gone over here?
It's hard to say because I never really followed Western Australian racing. All the horses that I brought over to North America have always come from generally the east, Sydney or Brisbane. There was a couple that I brought over from, South Australia and Victoria, but I had never ventured out west. And I really didn't know what to expect. I mean, I watch replays a ton, so, I understand that they're racing. They race on a half-mile racetrack. I've been around in the racing, I guess, world, since 1978 when I was still in high school. And harness racing is something that I've really caught on. And, it's just something that I really like, to watch. And I used to gamble. I don't gamble anymore. Can't afford to. I have too many horses. But yeah, did I expect her to be successful? I would probably say yes. But to this point, not really, because it's totally unexpected. Because again, I didn't know what the level of competition she was going to be racing against.
And the other thing is, you mentioned it's a half-mile track at Gloucester Park. She's a really big mare, but she's got around the track perfectly.
Yeah, that was something that was really, I thought, going to be trouble for her because she was such a big horse. But, obviously hats off to Greg and Sky. They took her over there. There was no rush in any of the scenario where, we had to have her ready in 3 weeks type of thing. When he got over, got her over to Perth, it was, let's take our time. Let's do it right. Let's make sure that, she has the right gear for this type of racing, on a half-mile racetrack. And yeah, I'm pleasantly surprised, obviously.
Being in Canada, how do you watch the races? Do you have to wait till the replay gets put up on the website afterwards, or?
No, I actually have a box where I watch Sky Racing live. So,
okay.
because you guys are 12 hours difference from me, right now it's 8:30 basically, a.m. for us, but it's 8:30 p.m. for you guys. If the race was on now, it's just 12 hours.
Yeah.
The real big trouble comes when it's, when I've got horses in New Zealand, which is like 16 hours, or horses in Melbourne or Sydney, Victoria, which are 14 hours. So depending on when they go off, I'm up and watch every one of my races. So, I mean, if there's races, that are 3:30 in the morning, then I get up and watch them live at 3:30 in the morning.
Which begs the question, because we're going to talk about some of your very good racehorses, and undoubtedly Artie by the Seaside, but also Artie's Express. I think they're just about the two best mares in Australasia. How did you come to own horses in Australasia based in Canada?
Well, as I said, I've been around a long time, and in the early 80s, from a gambling perspective, there used to be a ton of New Zealanders, not so many Australians, but a lot of New Zealanders came over. Yeah. And I always looked at those horses, and I really thought they were competitive. They seemed to race very well at older ages. And then I decided to get into the horse, ownership business about 5.5 years ago. And I said, well, I got to try to find a niche, where, what am I going to try to do? I got, the American horses or, the Southern horses. And I chose the Southern horses. So I tried to, get as much information as I possibly could in terms of how do I watch replays? How do I get to know people? I'm in the car business up here, so talking comes pretty easily to me. But over the years, that I'm involved as an owner, listen, I mean, I'm not afraid to take a risk. I have two sons that play professional hockey. I understand athleticism. I was a pretty good athlete growing up myself. Might not look now like I am, but I was. and I just like that, the Southern horses, just once I started to dig into it a little bit, it was a personality of the people down there. It was how they raised horses from young. It wasn't necessarily to get them to races at 2 and 3 years old. Now, of course, when I started, I didn't have that. I mean, I was buying race horses to bring up here to Canada. And then I guess my first horse that I bought for down there was Artie's Express off of Gavel House. At the time, it was called Glen Letty's Express. And I guess that was from, the barn that, she had come from and whatnot. So I ended up buying the horse, and my nickname is Artie.
Okay.
So I've had that for 40 years, 50 years actually. I just turned 65 yesterday, so 50 years.
Happy birthday.
And oh, thank you so much. And you know what? I wanted to create a brand. And if I was going to dive in, then, I'll dive in under the Artie name. And, it really became Artie's Express was the first one. Obviously, she turned out to be pretty good. I end up buying the mother, Tatiana Bromack. She had a foal at her side, which ended up turning out to be Artie's Flash, who I just shipped up here to North America. And she had she was pregnant with my Artie B. Mickey, my 3-year-old that's racing now in Brisbane. So I got into that side of it, and then had a little bit of success, and then I started to delve a little bit further, and now coming to the horse that's in Western Australia right now. I was on the Gavel House site one night, and I'm a Some Beach Somewhere fan, and I looked at the pictures of this horse, which was unnamed at the time, and I said, man, I really like the look of the horse, but more importantly, I looked down deep in the mother's line, like mother's family, and there seemed to be some horses down there that were, that I thought were fairly good. And you know what? I ended up taking a shot on the horse. I ended up buying her for $1,500 online. Now, everyone thinks I'm a genius. Well, no, it's just there's lots of luck that goes into that. Believe me. So.
No, so was there? Obviously, the plan was to buy horses and ship them to North America, but you're having so much success here in Australasia. The plan now is to race them here as long as you can and then ship them up.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I have 3 mares in New Zealand, so I've slowed down in buying. I think I have in North America. I have 11 race horses and a mare in Kentucky. I've had a flyby, which was one of the better mares in New Zealand at the time. I brought her up here, and unfortunately, she suffered a tendon injury. So I bought a piece of cattle wash again. There you go, back to Some Beach Somewhere. And so now I've got two babies from her, and she'll be pregnant from him hopefully every year because I get a free breed. But the majority of what I'm going to do in terms of from a racing, yeah, you're right. I'm not going to buy horses anymore. I mean, I can raise them down there, race them down there, and it doesn't become a cost factor anymore from purchasing, because if they're bleeding, which some of them do, then I can bring them up here, and we can use Lasix up here. So there's a lot of different things that that I've tried to do. I've tried to lay off buying horses now because I do have a lot coming through the pipeline, and really go from there. But Artie by the Seaside's never going to leave. Artie's Express is never going to leave. Because they're situated in 2 different parts of the country. The Mickey horse, Artie B. Mickey. I mean, unfortunately for her, she becomes 4 next year, and she's going to have to race against Artie's Express, her sister. And as good as she is, I don't think she's as good as Artie's Express. So there's no sense racing against myself. So I'll bring her to North America. It's probably sometimes towards the end of the year, I believe.
Well, we're going to talk about Artie's Express in just a moment, but Cattle Wash, he's just been announced that he's coming to Eurobe stud in New South Wales over here. So you're a part owner of Cattle Wash, a son of Some Beach.
Well, no, yes, up here.
Oh, the
no,
Fraser
down
Seaman.
there.
The Fraser Seaman is coming to Eurobe.
I don't. No, there's a possibility. I'm not quite sure on that.
Yeah.
If I get any of the foreign if I get any of the foreign money or not. I have to look at the agreement. I didn't anticipate that, when I bought in. But hey, listen, if it's going to be free money for me, why not?
Exactly. Now, we've spoken about Artie's by the Seaside here, which has done a wonderful job. But Artie's Express, what a wonderful mare she is. Her win in the Queen Elizabeth Stakes is just about the best performance at Menangle of a mare, and up there with the best of all time, I think, her win there when she gave Ladies in Red a start and a beating.
Well, I mean, obviously just being able to, race against Ladies in Red, who, obviously is the perennial champion down there, was just a thrill to me. Artie's Express has always been a very good horse. She's almost killed herself a couple of times. She threw Steve Dolan and herself through a fence when she was, coming in at a very young age, and she had a lot of injuries. She broke a cannon bone, and then she had knee fractures in that last race at Auckland. And but she's never lost a race against the girls in New Zealand. Well, one time she did. She broke in the race, but as far as her ability, I'd have to say, that she's a pretty fast horse, and not only fast but tough. Like you say, that Ladies in Red. I mean, I'm looking at her at the head of the stretch, sitting last, 5 wide, and I'm yelling at Jack Trainer, like, what are you doing? And and then all of a sudden, he steps on the gas, and she kept coming and coming. And as an owner, in a group race, whether it's a grade 1, 2, or 3, or any race for that matter. But I mean, the grade 1 race, especially racing against horses of caliber as Ladies in Red. I'm thinking, man, we beat her. And I said, holy smokes! I mean, that was an incredible race. And my hat's off to, obviously Jack at the time was looking after her. Now Jason Grims is looking after her because Jack's put down through suspension. But it all started with the vet, like, in New Zealand, Dr. Tim, Montgomery, where we basically had to come up with a water program for her, just basically because she couldn't handle the stress of being on the racetrack every day.
Yeah, well,
so
she's enjoying.
That's why she ended up.
She seems to be enjoying racing in Sydney at the moment, and she goes around on Saturday night in the Rangi Bill Stakes, which is Rangi Bill. You wouldn't know this, Mike, but he won the most number of races ever at Harold Park, which was the Metropolitan track before Menangle. And she's drawn the outside. She's $1.85 on Tab Touch with us, and goes around against a good field on Friday night. But you'd expect that she'd probably be winning on Saturday night, I should say.
Well, I mean, I would like to think so. I mean, I now that Ladies in Red is is retired. Luke McCarthy's horse that beat us the other day. I keep there, but she's not in this race. So I would like to think that she's got a very good chance to win. I mean, I can tell you when she's going to win when I know when she crosses the finish line first. But until then, it's a horse race, and anything can happen. And just as I said, I keep my fingers crossed and hope for the best and hope to get a good trip and a good result.
And her full sister, we mentioned it before, Artie's Be Mickey, thereby always be Mickey out of Tatiana Bromack.
Correct.
She won the Queensland Oaks last start for Chantel and Turpin and Peter McMullen. There was whispers she was coming to WA for the WA Oaks, but I hear that's been put on hold and you're going to Melbourne instead.
Well, that was the talk with Greg. I mean, initially that's what I wanted to do, but having not knowing anything about, I guess, travel in Australia.
Yeah, it's very hard.
there's no flight to go to Perth, which to me doesn't make any sense. But they just never get enough horses to go, and it becomes pretty dear. So I did not want to risk her going on a float for 4 days, because she was going to have to race, probably within a couple of weeks, as opposed to Artie's by the Seaside, who, had a couple of months or 3 months before she had to race. And that was that thing that I was saying earlier about, time, having the time, you can acclimatize, but, if you're under a little bit of a gun, how are they going to come off the van? And I decided just basically to let her race in Brisbane for a couple of starts, and then we're going to ship her to Melbourne for the Melbourne Oaks. And then looks like Melbourne Oaks is probably going to be the last race she has in Australia.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and well, you've got the two other best mares in the country, I think. So to have a third one racing against them, yeah, it doesn't really make sense. Artie by the Seaside, by the way, is going around the August Cup on Friday night, and she's $1.75 with Tab Touch currently at the moment. But the other thing is, you've had such great success with the full relations by Always Be Mickey, and he just seems to throw such a tough horse. Always Be Mickey.
Yeah, there's a lot of the times, knowing him over here, they basically didn't come out as younger horses. They, started to get better as they got into their late 2s and 3s. With the ones that I've got down there, yeah, they're fast. I mean, I don't know what other word I can use to say is they're fast. Tatiana Bromack's in full right now to Captain Treacherous.
Okay.
So I've said to myself, I believe it. I believe in this mare a lot, the mother, and what she's done to throw 3 like this in a row. Yeah, they're all always be Mickey's, but I believe it's her because I watched plenty of her races replays, and she could beat every horse in New Zealand except for Carabella.
Yeah, okay.
And I just, as I said, because I was a gambler, I understand how to watch, races and replays, etc. And she never got a fair trip in most of them. And obviously Carabella's a champion, and you know what, we were running second, or she was running second or third against them. So I said to myself, I think it would be a good investment, and I guess I'm trying to build a super horse, I guess, for lack of better word. Captain Treacherous right now seems to be, the sire that, most of the, obviously better is the light, but I mean, Captain Treacherous now seems to be the one that people are looking forward to, and I've had trouble whether or not to put those horses in the sale or not to put the horse in the sale, but I kind of think I kind of think I want to keep everything going down there the way it is. So there's a very good chance that that I'm going to race the horse and not sell the horse.
Well, and there's no doubt that he'll be valuable. Well, he or she'll be valuable either way, and the mare obviously owes you nothing either, because of what she's done for you as an owner. So whatever she produces, it will just be cream on top. And speaking of your progeny coming through, have you got anything for our listeners that we haven't seen on the race check that you're excited about?
There's a filly that Peter McMullen's got, Moving Money, who actually qualified a couple of times earlier on in the year. Looks to me like I think she's going to be very fast. She just wasn't strong enough. She qualified against some real nice horses up there, as a non-starter and a maiden. And, in a couple of her qualifiers, I mean, there was a couple of quarters in different races where she paced in 26 and change. So I'm hopeful she's going to trial next week, in Brisbane. And, I just keep my fingers crossed and hope that, hope she can do the job. But I mean, I don't, the only other, Andy Gass got a Philly Trotter, Artie's Peak that, just we're having a little bit of trouble trying to sort her out. And then the only other racehorse I have in New Zealand, well, two actually. I have Artie by the Hill, who's hopefully he'll get back into the Dominion or qualify for the Dominion, and I own a Vanna Flyby's full brother, Artie's Flyby, who I did a throat operation on, and he's coming back. He's probably gonna go to a schooling race, next week and next 2 weeks, and then trial the week after that. So that's exciting for me as well. But I mean, nothing's obviously as exciting as what I've got racing there now. So
no, you've found some very good horses, and I tell you what, as I said before, I think you've got the two best mares in the country in Artie's by the Seaside and Artie's Express, and exciting that you potentially could have a dual Oaks winner as well in there with Artie's be Mickey. And I've got to say, I don't know too many Canadians, Mike, but every one of them I do, including James McDonald, who I become mates with, who come out and drive at Gloucester Park. They're all mad ice hockey fanatics, especially James. Yeah. He really loves it, and sounds like you do too.
Well, yeah, as I said, I have two kids that play professional hockey, so in the NHL. So that I have two hobbies: hockey and horses. and you know what? I'm satisfied with that. My kids are all older now, and my partner, her and she works. I stay at home and watch races. I really enjoy it. In the wintertime, I watch hockey, but I'm a fan of racing. I mean, now I understand the Western racing, Western Australia racing, because of Artie by the Seaside. So, I tend to watch a lot more Gloucester Park, racing than I did before. Obviously, because I have a vested interest. But we'll see. With Greg, and Sky, they've been like unbelievable. Listen, all Southern people, for me, are all fabulous. Greg is over the moon. He'll pick up the telephone and we'll chat for 30 minutes, and I understand that, who he is, and, he doesn't necessarily have to do that, but, and I appreciate it, because, I like to gather information just basically for myself, how I understand, horse racing down there. And, the people down there, to be quite honest with you, are a lot more friendlier than the people up here. No, but I'm dead serious when I say that. Up here, it's all about the money up here.
More cutthroat.
Yeah. But it's just, you've got. You look at scenarios, and you look at people, and I try to associate, with people, first of all, that I think are good in the business, or good for the business, and I'm not right 100% of the time, but I've been fortunate enough, to land on some good people that have given me success with my horses, and sure, at the same time, I've given them good horses. But, I've also brought a lot of good horses up to North America, and, and some of them don't work out. And I tell the trainers up here, because I'm not afraid, I speak my mind. To me, I couldn't care less. I tell them, I said, I bring you guys in good horses, can you turn them into bad horses? and, and at the end of the day, it's my money. When I spend it and buy, I don't go and intentionally buy a bad horse. So, if some people tell me, he's not a good horse, well, then they're not doing it right, because the Southern, obviously you understand what's going on with all the Southern horses that are racing in North America right now. They're successful.
Yeah, very.
And, and they're successful for a reason, and, which we touched on earlier, that, because you guys, really don't beat the crap out of them when they're younger, they tend to last, longer on the racetrack, and they're a lot more durable than probably the ones that are the North American breed. I just try to do the right things. And, I don't do the right things all the time. I'm not perfect. I try to learn from my mistakes. And, as I said, my biggest successes are the horses that are down south. I mean, up here, I brought horses to race. Hopefully, Artie's Flash has come up, which I'm really looking forward to him racing here. Because I think he'd have a real good chance to be a real top end horse. Artie B. Mickey, when she comes up here, I mean, I expect her to be one of the top mares in North America. And, at that point in time, I'll get a lot more excited about racing up here. But for now, it's, hey, listen, I'll take Artie by the seaside, Artie's Express, and Artie Mickey down there any day of the week.
Have you actually visited down here yet?
No, but there's a small possibility because my youngest son's getting married in Taiwan next year. And, my partner's from the Philippines, so we're going to go visit the Philippines from Taiwan. And, I say I'm going to come down, but again, I don't travel well. 14 hours from Manila to somewhere in Australia, I don't know, or New Zealand. I don't know. I really don't know what's that going to mean for me in the big picture. So, as I said, there's a possibility, but it's a small possibility, but nonetheless, it's a possibility.
Well, Mike, it's been great chatting to you. Hopefully we do get to see you one day, but if not, I'd let you know that thank you for sending Artie's by the Seaside and your combination with Team Bond, Greg and Sky. And but your mares are going great over here. Your whole team is going great over here, and hopefully the Artie name continues to have success here in Australasia.
Well, I appreciate the time and, your guys' interest in me because, as I said, I'm halfway around the world and, I'm probably the only one that, has, I think there's probably a couple of North American owners that have horses, but certainly none with the amount that I have. And hats off to you guys. You guys do a wonderful job down there. And for me, it's easy. I mean, it's, the friendships that I've made down there. And obviously, with the ability of some of my horses, it's been good more than it's been bad. But people like you and certain other people's in the media, they've given me the time of day, which, for me is important. I mean, I'd like to spread the Artie brand because I'm going to have mares down there. And hey, listen, you never know. Maybe we'll get lucky and have another one.
Well, as I said, it's been great talking to you. Hopefully we can catch up again, maybe when you've won another couple of Group 1s with your mares, and it'll be great to chat to you. But thanks for taking the time, and we'll chat to you soon.
You're more than welcome. You can call anytime. Always the best, and good luck to everybody down there. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Yeah, great chatting to Mike Tanev there, and it's great to see he's got investment here in Australia despite living in Canada and being a Canadian. But let's hope we see a few more Artie's horses here in WA, and there's certainly quality, and no doubt about her. She's on target to continue and roll through. A big step up this Friday night in the August Cup, as I said, $1.80 currently with Tab Touch, drawn 1, and she's obviously the one to beat. Artie's Express, also owned by Mike, goes around on Saturday night at Menangle in race number 6, and it is the Rangibill Stakes. The Club Menangle Rangibill Stakes, she's currently $1.85 as well, so pretty much the same price for the Artie's mares, and she goes around the Rangibill, and tell you what, she's going to be very hard to beat. Artie's Express, she's just about the best mare in Australasia, and she's going to continue to roll through, I'd imagine, now with the Jason Grimson team. Great to catch up to Mike. We really appreciate his time to join us, and maybe we'll catch up with him a little bit later on. But big news this week in the Eureka, and we have another announcement for the Eureka. It is this time the slot holder of Kevin and Kay Seymour, and Bay of Biscay, the 3-year-old, goes into the Eureka. So he joins Flight Commander. They're the 2 3-year-olds. They'll draw 1 or 2. And then we got 2 mares in Luke McCarthy's mare And also last week's announcement, Major Light going in, they'll draw 3 and 4. And then the 4-year-old Colts and Geldings will draw from 5 outwards for the big event, including our very, very good Never Ending, who goes around on Saturday night at Club Menangle. And he's in race number 2 on Saturday night. Comes up at approximately 4:23 WA time. And if we look at the Tab Touch market, there's a Tab Touch market out for race number 2, the bestinbeds.com pace. And currently with Tab Touch, he's 650 up from 550, 220 a place. That's just massive. He's shorter in other places, into the red, up against Major Moth, who's $1.55, and also Captain's Knock. Now, he's going to meet Captain's Knock in the Eureka in a couple of weeks' time, who's at $5 in this race. And Captain's Knock, look, this is a big race for both. Obviously, Never Ending's going around his first look at Menangle. It usually takes at least a run just to get used to the track at Menangle, even the Victorian horses. But coming from WA, it's a big testing point for Never Ending. But tell you what, that $2.20 a place is a massive price. And I'm tipping it's going to be odds on by the time we get around to start time at Menangle at 4:23 WA time on Saturday night. So that leaves one spot for the Eureka, and that is the TAB, now that Frankie Ferocious has been withdrawn. And that'll be run for on a race the week before the Eureka, and there's a qualifying race for that, and the Tab will pick a horse out of that race. Really interesting. A few horses going around in Milton that are of interest that even though the Summit and Aaron Bain slot have gone with La Lost Storm. Tell you what, his form's been a little bit dubious. He won first up, but then his form line reads Duck Egg 8, and I'd suggest another subpar performance could see Summit and Bain looking for another performer. They mightn't have too far to go, including Perfect Class, who's from the same camp. And it's a big race. He's going around in race number 7. He's not favourite and won't be favourite come start time. James Herbertson's got the drive for Emma Stewart, and it's a big task for the Lost Storm, and this will be make or break whether he ends up getting to the Eureka in a couple of weeks' time. Race number 8, we see Major Light go around in a mare's race, and she will be favourite and hard to beat. Ashley DeLoza, who's going to keep the drive. The young Sydney Reigns woman is going to Melton to drive. And in the first race, interesting runner is High Above, who's another one who's in contention. They were really spruiking this horse before, but he just hasn't quite lived up to it on the track this campaign. And look, he would have to blow their socks off tomorrow on Saturday night to force his way into a spot if they are looking for a slot. As I said, the Summit and Bain, but in the end, they could continue with the Lost Storm. So another big weekend. This is pivotal on Saturday night at Menangle. All eyes, race number 2. And as I said, Tab Touch have got to mark it up for that event. It's 4:23 WA time, and he's drawn the outside. I'd imagine Junior will just let him feel his way around, but if he's the horse we think he is, will be running home at a great speed, and the 220 on Tab Touch a place looks a little bit overs at the moment. I think it'll shorten up as we get closer to the race, and it is shorter in other betting markets. So a really big weekend for the Eureka as we head towards it. As I said, Mortz is back next week. Getting very excited. The owners are excited. There's about 30 owners of Never Ending going on and going over, and very exciting for WA. This is, and I don't think it's been made enough. The fact that this was bred by Steve Johnson in WA from one of his foundation mares, and it's a generational breeding here in WA. 3 or 4 generations here in WA has produced Never Ending, who's going over and tackling the best horses in Australasia in the world's richest race, and is the favourite currently. And has won all the Westbred races, is trained by a Western Australian, driven by a Western Australian, in a Western Australian spot, owned by Western Australians. And I think it's something we all need to get behind, particularly coming in the next couple of weeks. And the fact that a WA bred horse is now the favourite for the world's richest races, I think something we need to be proud of and need to promote more, particularly even on the website, on the Eureka, it said private sale when it was Never Ending was bought at the APG Perth sale, which was corrected during the week. And I think it should be an item of pride for WA that a locally bred horse, and great to see. We spoke to Steve Johnson last week, take out the Pearl Classic with Sebastian James, and we'll hear that race in just a moment. So really exciting coming into the Eureka, and as we go through the next couple of weeks, we get obviously the August Cup this week, and we're about to hear from Bomber Thompson about his tips for the meeting. A 9-race card at Gloucester Park, the first at 5:16. The feature event is race number 5, the Group 3 $50,000 August Cup, where Artie by the Seaside is the $1.80 favourite. And before we go, once again, we had Ryan Bell on a couple of weeks ago, and I was remiss of me not to mention Shockwave, who is standing at stud this year. And he's the Group 1 winning son of Mac 3, who is the sire of sires. And there's no doubt about that. He sired Some Beach Somewhere, who's now a sire of sires himself. It is one of the greatest siring lines of all time, certainly in the modern era. And it's great to have Shockwave at stud. He's a magnificent-looking fellow, and his dam side is outstanding as well. We all know how good his dam side is, including Double Espresso, who's Shockwave's half sister. He stands with Ryan and Tiffany for 3,300. And the great thing is we know how well he got around Gloucester Park. So if you're sending a WA mare to him, double Westbred, you know how well he got around Gloucester Park. And you can contact the Bell Pacing Stables. There's plenty of information around. Email bellpacingstables@hotmail.com, or go into their social media, Facebook, Twitter. They're all over social media, and some great pictures of him as well. Looks like he could go around Friday night. Shockwave, he'll go back into work anyway. He's a magnificent-looking stallion, and there's no doubt he's going to do a great job for Kevin Jevons and Ryan, Tiffany, and the entire team there. All right, this segment was brought to you by Loans 123. Car loans, debt consolidations, or your personal finance. Who do you see? The main man, Stevie Sell, the new nut. And you can contact them by going to the website, loans123.com.au, or the very easy to remember number, 1800 100 100. And Steve Sell and his team are still doing the things the banks can't. All right, it's time to take a break. I mentioned Steve Johnson. Thanks, Steve, for taking his time out last week to chat to us, and it was great to see Sebastian James. Great drive by Shannon Savalco. He had him stacked up. He waited for Junior to push off and pull back before he kicked. And Sebastian James, from that great line that includes Never Ending, an orphan foal who's overcame so much to get to the Group 2 level and take out the Pearl Classic. As we go to the break, here is Sebastian James taking out the Group 2 Hoist Hawk Pearl Classic.
Sebastian James in front of Fill My Pocket. I'm Massimo is trying to bustle into the clear, but it can't get out. Now it's out. I'm Massimo. 3 wide, but giving the leader 7 metres, and then belly up. Sebastian James has gone for home and raced away. Has got the Pearl 1. Trying hard, belly up. I'm Massimo, and late on the scene, Como El Viente. Sebastian James is stopping, but hangs on just. Belly up, flew and missed by half a head.
Hi, I'm Steve Sell from Loans 123. We are car finance specialists. We can help you find the loan you're looking for, your new car, and help find a home for your old one. If you want a new or used car but feel uncomfortable visiting car yards on your own, we can help and often save you money. For a stress-free way of buying and financing your next car, who do you see? Steve Sell at loans123.com.au or call 1800 100 100.
Talking Trots with Mortz and Michael Radley on Tab Radio, Racing and Sport.
to the turn. Blaze Away is still clear from Wave Rider. The outside Waterloo, Sugar Covered. Then Pete's on a 27-3 was that third quarter. First up, he's clear in front. Blaze Away with Wave Rider and now Waterloo. Blaze Away's in front. Wave Rider, Waterloo coming at him. Blaze Away trying to cling on. Wave Rider now. Waterloo over the top. Waterloo, what a win. Waterloo has got up to beat Blaze Away and Wave Rider. Pete's on a
fantastic win. The fillies against the Colts and Geldings. It's a big performance for the Mike Reid Trains Shannon Savalco driven Waterloo, owned by Swandoo, Jim and Willie. And she's a very, very good filly. Good form reference going into the next couple of weeks with the West Bred. Big performances by Blaze Away, first up. Went very well, and Wave Rider was outstanding as well. First up, outside the leader. Both will progress to the Colts and Geldings of the West Bred. Waterloo goes to the fillies. Unfortunately, Menemsha atrial fibrillated and finished down the track. Let's hope that his heart bounced straight back into rhythm, and there's no other onward going issues with Menemsha, because he's certainly very good, and these things can just happen and never happen again, and hopefully that's what happens with Menemsha going forward. But so we thought it was going to be a really good form race going forward, and I think it is. Waterloo fillies just continue, she'll dominate them. But a couple of really good performances from horses coming back, including Blaze Away and Wave Rider. I might get Bomber's impressions in just a moment, but this segment's brought to you by Steel Blue Boots. Built for comfort, made for work. 330 plus stockists nationwide. They're a mark of true skill, and to view the great range. And look, there is so many boots out there available for you, not just work boots, but if you want other boots, you can get them at Steel Blue. Premium work boots at steelblue.com. Make sure you go to Steel Blue. Great supporters of us. Ross Fitzgerald, Foundation Director at Steel Blue, still currently a director there in communications, and he's going to be there at the Eureka in a couple of weeks' time supporting his very good horse. Never ending, as I said, goes around earlier on Saturday night at Menangle in race number 2. But it is time to welcome in our form expert, Scott Bomber Hill. Bomber, how are you going?
Very well, thanks, Rads. Very busy time up here in Broome, but all going well.
Yep, very, very busy in Broome at the moment. Tell you what, we knew the 3-year-old race was going to be a good race last week, race number 1 on Sky 2. Probably didn't go to as many people as we wanted. But I tell you what, she's very good, Waterloo. She's obviously the benchmark for the fillies over here, but a couple of really good performances by the horses first up, who will bounce into the West Bred heats at Pinjarra on Monday in Blaze Away and Wave Rider.
Yeah, 2 very nice horses. I was particularly impressed with Blaze Away. I think he's gonna be one to follow. Wave Rider, we know how good he is, and that depth in that 3-year-old. Those 3-year-old ranks is just immense. In the filly, she was very good coming off the speed, rock hard fit, obviously, and she's going to take all sorts of beating in the fillies races for sure. Yeah,
I spoke to Michael Young after the race, and Blaze Away is a level 2, so if we run a place in the heat even on Monday, and then run a place in the final, hopefully, or we perform well in the West Bred final, he's still a level 2. I think there could be picket fences with him coming up very shortly, because you'd think he would go straight through the grades from a level 2, wouldn't you, Bomber?
Oh, 100%.
If he went into a level 2, it'd be $1.04. Wouldn't matter what the race is, wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly right. And the thing is, he's probably not alone in that 3-year-old.
No, there's a couple there.
There's probably others as well. It's just so strong.
Yeah, the boys are. There's probably no standout. And we've got Greg Bond coming over with a new horse for the Derby, who's now favourite. But tell you what, they're pretty strong. There's probably no standout, but they're all very strong.
Exactly right. And then barrier draws are going to play, and luck probably more so than barrier draws even. Like, they're all so good, they can probably win from anywhere with the right luck.
Exactly. All right, a 9-race program on Friday night at Gloucester Park, the first at 5:16. The feature event is the August Cup, Group 3 level, $50,000, and we will preview it a little bit later on. But it's a tough night, Bomber, isn't it?
Well, it is one of the toughest cards I've seen, if not the toughest. I'd look through. Normally you can find sort of 2 or 3 that you go say, yeah, it'll just win. They might be too short, but they'll just win. But tomorrow night there's 9 races, and if I come away with 3 winners from the 9, I'd give that an A+.
You're a genius.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Absolute genius. All right, we're going to kick off with the opening event, 5:16, as I said, over the short course, 1730 metres, catalanotrucks.com.au pace. And we've got prime mover out of the pole for Mike Reid, Shannon Zavalko, who's in great form. Major overs, unlucky, Chillin, who's in really good form, comes to town. Colin, Johnny Lombo, here comes Sharky, Krakatini, Baltic Ace outside the front line, 2 runners on the back line. We've got Dr. Steve and also 7 No Trumps, who's nothing if not consistent. Bomber, which way are we going in race number 1?
Yeah, gone with a consistent 7 No Trumps. I think he's nearing a win, and he gets a nice enough draw here, albeit from the second line. He follows a good beginner through, and it looks to be a bit of speed. I think there'll be 2 or 3 go forward. This horse's numerical form's very good without having really threatened of winning late. But I do think step back to the miles to his advantage despite that draw. And last time he got back to the mile, he chased home a horse by the name of Mr. Smarty, and he was beaten just 10 metres in very fast time on that occasion. And he went back to the pegs, spent a fair bit of time in the home stretch going sideways looking for runs, and this just looks a really nice race so long as that pressure is there that I expect.
All right, on the harness side, it's $7.50. What price do you expect?
Yeah, I think around that sort of $5-$6 mark. It's probably 3 or 4 winning chances in the race, but I think he can just camp off the back of them, and just want him to sort of either burn early or through that first quarter, and then he'll get his look late. All
right, Emily Savalko takes the drive for Peter Tilbrook. How many units were we investing in the first?
We're just going to be limping in a little bit tomorrow night. It's just going to be a 1-unit bet, Brads, and if we get a winner, we'll probably finish on the right side.
Yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with being cautious. Tomorrow leading in. The next race we're going to look at is race number 2. It is Villiers Family Bakery. Great pies, Villiers Family Bakery. Race number 2 over the 2130 metres. This comes up at 5:51 tomorrow night. And as we have a look at the field, we've got Star of Willoughby drawn the pole. Slide Terror outside it. Lombo Mitchison, who's been consistent in Barrier 3, comes to town. Illawong Mustang, Lupicello, Beleza Nero, Good Delay Maddie, who's also been going okay. Montana Glory, hasn't she just gone to the next level since she's come back this campaign? It's good to see that she's living up to a little bit of the boom that was placed on her early. Ratlin Lily, another mare that is absolutely flying at the moment, and the 2 big guns are drawn in 8 and 9. And then we go on the back line, we've got Eaton Rock and Soho Firestone. Bomber, 2 big guns in the mares have drawn 8 and 9, but once again, this is a pretty even race.
Yeah, it is. It's very even, and those 2 are obviously the class, but the draw definitely levels it up. So I went with Soho Firestone again from the 11. Follows out a pretty even front line. Not exactly 100% sure where it ends up, but that said, finds itself in a nice race and looks to get a nice tag. So if it can find a helmet to follow home late, going to be pretty hard to hold out, I think. Been going okay of late without any flashing red lights or anything like that on it, but 2 efforts of late, ran second behind Who's the Dad in a very fast last half after running the arm, and then pretty well mathematically impossible last time to finish any closer. But just needs the right helmet to follow home here and can be pretty dangerous at a price, I think.
And you'd think that the 2 mares on the outside would have to push forward and put pressure on each other.
I think so. There's, particularly Ratlin Lily, she's not a high-speed mare by any stretch. So, there's going to be pressure in the race, I think.
Yeah, I heard Kim Prentice this morning. He said, well, Shannon's got to stay in front of Denny and Daniel kept pouring on the pressure. So I think he summed it up there. Kim Prentice was on with Tim and Digby earlier this morning after Adam Hamilton. How many units we got for Soho Firestone in race number 2?
Yeah, again, just the one unit, I think, going to be pretty close to double figures. So, it obviously needs a touch of luck, but definitely has the class if the race sets up well.
All right, before we go to the break, Bomber, last week we had the happy 98th birthday Hubert Tucker, who is a long-time member here at Gloucester Park. Great man, Hubert Tucker, and actually Desi Parr turned up for the birthday party, the happy birthday Hubert Tucker. Medieval Man took out the event for Kiara Davies and Madison Brown. $20 caused the boil over, but put 3 on end, Medieval Man. Bomber, how well's he going?
Yeah, he's certainly one of those horses that does hold his form when he hits it. But he's generally been a front runner or a breeze horse, but he's just winning sort of from anywhere at the moment. He's been super consistent in races that you'd probably think are just a bit better, a bit above him. But yeah, got him going brilliantly, and he's probably going to be hard to beat in any race he fetches up against, even in harder class.
Yeah, driven very positively by Madison Brown. Let's go to the break and listen to Medieval Man taking out the happy 98th birthday Hubert Tucker, and it was 3 on the bounce for Medieval Man.
Though, and the leader is Let's Get Rockin' with Sister Sammy giving chase, and then Medieval Man Acuto is battling on. Rock and Roll Spirit is running home quite well. Into the straight they run. Let's Get Rocking in 29-2 in front, but it's tied, and Medieval Man quickly comes after it. Medieval Man has raced to Let's Get Rockin' and taken the lead, and it's going to be 3 in a row. Medieval Man chalks up the hat-trick.
There's always a lot more in store for you at Retrovision, like Retrovision's lowest price guarantee. If you find a lower price on a same-stocked item, we'll beat it. There's our 60-day price promise, where we'll refund you 120% of the difference if you find a lower advertised price on any purchase. Plus, RAC members save an extra 5% every day of the year. After 60 years, a lot has changed, but there's still a lot more in store at Retrovision.
You are listening to Talking Trots with Mortz and Michael Radley.
In front, here they come now. Karana 3 wide, Otis the centre, Bellissimo Acquisto the inside. Coney Island Lou was left flat-footed, and it's Karana storming up on the outside of Rock Artist and Otis. Karana has dashed up and taken the lead and drawn clear now from Rock Artist. Battling on his Otis, and then came Bellissimo Acquisto and Coney Island Lou, but Karana streaks away for Roberts and wins the marathon in brilliant style. Rock Artist second, third Otis, fourth home was...
Yeah, really good performance from Karana, who continues to improve. On the back, got the sit on Otis with Rock Artist over racing in front, and proved too strong in the marathon, the Hoist Solutions Marathon for 2024. All right, this segment is brought to you by Retrovision, your local WA appliance specialist, where RAC members receive an additional 5% every day. And I tell you what, they're going to be glad to see Mort's back. Yeah, they've been without him for about a month. They've held it together, but once he gets back, they're going to go from strength to strength. Go to the massive stores, Ellenbrook, Joondalup, Cannington. Go to get all your white good appliances. But remember, the best price, and you can save an additional 5% by being an RAC member. Retrovision. Great supporters here at Tab Radio. Harness Racing in general sponsor a number of clubs all over the state, and it'll be great to have Mort's back, and even better for the listening public, because they won't just have to listen to me dribble on by myself. Although I'm not by myself, because I got Bomber Hill on the line, and the next race we are going to look at, Bomber, before I come to you. We're going to look at the main race very shortly, but this is race number 3. So we're going 1, 2 and 3 for our preview tonight. And this is the Sky Racing Listen Live. Also, if you've got Sky Active, make sure you download the app Sky Active, because Sky Active take all the interviews that Tim Timmy Walker or Matt Young is back at the moment, if Matt Young is doing them. So like Tab Radio, if you want to tune in after the race, you can hear the interviews straight after the race on Tab Radio, but also Sky Active. So download the Sky Active app and you'll be able to see the winning interviews after each race. Race number 3 is the Sky Listen Live over the 2130 metres. We've got Ideal Tomato for Michael Young, drawn the pole. Rock and Roll Spirit, Let It Linger. A couple in this for Michael Young. He's got 4 in it. So he's got 1, 3, 4, My Ultimate Chevron. Murray Lindau with Beyond a Sea in 5. Then another young runner in Lamandier. Then we get a Flying Rumour for Mike Reid. Paraquet, Rock Me Over outside the front line. Then the back line, we've got Tiger Royale awaiting instructions and Let's Get Rockin'. Bomber, race number 3. Which way are we going?
Yeah, and with Ideal Tomato, he's never really been one of mine, this horse, but he does draw the lead, and he has to be hard to run over as a result. He's a very good front runner. He's won 9 times in WA from the front, and he's been placed in a few others. He's not the sort of horse that can run sub-30s the whole way, but if he can pinch a quarter through the middle, and he'll take some catching, and no better man in the bike to ensure that happens than Gary Hall Jr. So, I thought he was a winner here 2 starts back when he led, and then he's had no real luck since in the stand and then caught in the breeze a couple of times. So I think this is a more suitable race, and he's going to give us a really good side in front.
Didn't get a winner last Friday night, Junior, on his way back in, but he ended up opening the account at Bunbury on Saturday night. But I think Michael Young gave him a little bit of a clip on the way through on the social media interviews on Monday about being a little bit rusty. But tell you what, Bomber, he should be back he should be back almost peak form now. A couple of meetings in, ready to rock and roll Friday night.
That's it. Won't take him too long, that's for sure. Rads, the rust won't build up too much. He's too good for that. But
no.
You'd expect that he'll make a bit of an announcement again tomorrow night before he looks to head east next week.
Yeah, he goes on. He actually flies.
Saturday.
Saturday. Yeah. He goes to Partner Never Ending on Saturday. So no doubt he'll want a couple of winners just to pump himself up, ready to go straight across on the flight.
Is he on the red eye there Friday night?
I don't know. He's He's not the best flyer, Junior. So maybe he is. We'll see. Hopefully he travels well. Relaxes into Saturday night and never partnering the never ending. I'll tell you what though, it doesn't seem to affect him. If you watch his drives over the East Coast, he gets there and tell you what, they all know he's in the race because he doesn't drive bad races when it's a big race, and no doubt he's got to steer never ending around on Saturday night to perfection, and he starts off on Friday night with Ideal Tomato. Hopefully get a break through. How many units we got?
Yeah, 2 units. I think he'll be around the sort of 280, 260, 280 mark, and just needs to pinch that 1 quarter, I reckon.
All right, 6-4, 7-4 in the old for Ideal Tomato in race number 3 tomorrow night. And then the last race we got to preview, it is the August Cup. Group 3, $50,000, and we do have a Tab Touch market. And let's have a look at it. Artie by the Seaside, open up even money into $1.80. Denny Roberts takes the drive. The Mickey Taker, $6.50 to $7.50, back to $5.50. So a little bit of support there. Talks Up a Storm, he's $6.50. Armour Einstein, $31. Hampton Banner, $34. Steal the Show, $6.50, $8 back to $7.50. Jetstar, pretty solid around about the $7 mark. The Co-Breaker, $41. Soho Down Jones at $61. And Sanriel, back to the races, $15, $17 back into $16. So pretty solid for a first-up performance, first up for a while for Sanriel and Chris Voke. In the August Cup, Bomber, we've got a short price favourite in Artie by the Seaside. We spoke to Mike Tanev early in the night. Which way are you going in the August Cup?
Yeah, I'm happy to take her on, actually. I've gone with the stablemate Steal the Show. He comes up with a tricky draw, but despite that, he's got, despite having good gate speed, I think this is the type of race he might just go back over the longer trip, and there is all sorts of speed underneath him, so there's no real need to get involved in that, I don't think. He's come up a nice price for a horse of his ability in a race where if they look to go pretty hard, he could be the beneficiary late at the longer trip with a few getting tired. can sort of forget he went around last time, I think. But before that, mixing it with the best of the free-for-all horses, and he's never far away. And despite all of his WA wins coming in front, he has run some really good races from off the back of hot speed. And I think Artie by the Seaside's going to have a work cut out to hold up. And the last time she did pull a little bit, so she won't want to do that over the longer trip in this grade. So I just think there'll be a couple having a look at her early, and this bloke could be the one to just sit out the back and have the last look.
Dylan Edgingreen also has great record driving the second stringers to victory for Bondi, probably more so a couple of years ago when he won the Oaks and the Pacing Cup and a few other races. But tell you what, he's got a good record on the Bond horses, doesn't he?
Yeah, he sure does. I mean, not the sort of camp that you don't mind driving the second stringers in that sort of camp.
They've all got a chance, don't they?
But he certainly makes the most of it when he goes on, that's for sure.
All right. Now, we're in the market. We've got $1.80 Artie by the Seaside. And as I have a look at it again, steal the show, as I said, $6.50 at $8 back to $7.50. How many units are we going to invest?
Yeah, again, 1 unit. It's a race that I think there's plenty of winning chances in. But, this guy's as genuine as they come. And if they do run it, upside down, he'll be the one getting home late.
Now, it's a tough night. Bomber, no multi?
Geez, struggling to find 4 tips, let alone a multi. It is a super night's racing. It's really competitive and really looking forward to it. It's you can go into every race with 2 or 3 chances, I think. Yeah, no,
it is very tough. Now, in the rugby league tipping, we actually had the Hall of Fame last night. It was actually really good on Fox for the rugby league. Ronnie Coote was inducted as an immortal who was one of the all-time greats, and great to see he's been inducted into immortal. Now, last week, Bomber, I tipped West Tigers. I was the only one to tip the West Tigers, and we got the cash, and I thought I was going to do it with the Knights, and they've robbed me. They have dead set robbed me.
Yeah, I hope you didn't have the multi.
No, I was filthy. We should have won. We should have won anyway, but anyway, the offside, the blockers. Anyway.
It was just one of those days, wasn't it?
Yeah. How's your AFL teams going? Are they picked up?
2025 could be a good year, I think, Brad.
For both of us, hopefully. For both of us, hopefully.
We're going to put this one behind us once again. I've said that for the last 23 years, but they've been disappointing Essendon, actually. They haven't been able to finish the season off at all. But, it looks like it's a really good final series. I mean, we get this deep into the year and you'd still struggle to pick the premiership winner in 3. I think there's plenty of chances.
Yeah, well, usually what happens is if my club side's going no well, we can hang our hats on New South Wales, but for a long time there, neither were going good, so we just barred rugby league altogether. At least I've got New South Wales this year, Bomber, so
yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I can say that premiership doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is state of origin, unless we get beat, and then nothing matters.
Yeah, exactly right.
Anyway, all right, mate, great to talk to you. Now, you'll be pleased to hear our great mate Glenn Mortimer is back next week.
Is he?
Yeah, he gets back on the weekend, I think. So he may make an appearance on the Friday morning preview tomorrow from 8 a.m. on Tab Radio with Tim, and Matt Young's back as well. All the big guns have come back just
maybe the other day. I knew he was back, but I didn't realise Mort's will have to introduce himself. I won't recognise his voice.
The 2 biggest stars in harness racing have come back. Matthew Young and Glenn Mortimer. We can continue.
All is well.
We can continue racing because a few things stopped when they went. we might get some markets. Anyway.
Oh dear, geez, don't say that.
Anyway, all right. Mate, thanks for your time. We'll speak to you next week, Hake, with the great man Glenn Mortimer back.
Will do, Rads.
Good on you.
Good to chat.
There we go. Scott Bomber Hill, who will be back next week. No doubt he'll bounce back this week. It is a tough week, but no doubt he'll bounce back. We've got plenty of faith in the great man Scott Bomber Hill. And it is great to have Matty Young back. I saw Matty on Tuesday. He came in. I think he had a shift on Tab Radio. He looked very refreshed. Very refreshed. He had a haircut. He had a little bit of a shave at the barber. Raring to go, and he'll be on the Tab Radio preview tomorrow with Timmy Walker and Glenn Moore, and very important listening tomorrow morning because, as Bomber said, this is a very hard card to dissect, but the boys will be along to do that and hopefully find a winner or two and a few interviews as well from 8 a.m. The Retrovision Gloucester Park preview here on Tab Radio. All right, it's time to take a break. And last week, Tasha's Spartan, another boil-over, only got there by a head in the end to Seven Nose Trumps, who goes around Friday night. But Tasha's Spartan, great to see Colin Joss train another winner here in town at Gloucester Park. As we celebrate this, listen to Tasha's Spartan finding the front and getting the cash in race number 8 last week.
Spartans out wide. 7-0 Trump still running on. A huge chance now is getting home hard. 30.3 the next quarter. Major overs, major freeway. Wider out Tasha's Spartan. 7-0 Trumps is coming down the outside with a good run. Tasha's Spartan hit the front from 7-0 Trumps who's coming. And then major freeway. Tasha's Spartan just in front. 7-0 Trumps won't get there, and Tasha's Spartan has won from 7-0 Trumps. Third major freeway.
New Mazda.
Yep, I love it. We got it from Bayswater Mazda.
I keep hearing great things about them.
They're fantastic to deal with. Great people, great coffee too.
At Bayswater Mazda, you'll always be well looked after. Visit the team today and find the best drive-away deals on new Mazdas and pre-owned vehicles. Driving is better with Bayswater Mazda.
So's the coffee.
Go and see Bayswater Mazda at the corner of Guildford and Garrett Road, Bayswater. DL 25174.
You are listening to Talking Trots with Morts and Michael Radley.
400, 29.3 third quarter. It's Miss Hepburn had shaken off. Taxi it is. Copycat Queen, stablemate to the leader. Moving up around the outside. Loctay is 4 deep. They were followed by Rock Rosie Rock. Bizarre Package is coming one off into the straight. Miss Hepburn is first for home. Giving chases Loctay, Bizarre Package, Copycat Queen. Fighting on Miss Hepburn. Loctay, those gaining ground with Bizarre Package, but it's Miss Hepburn getting close to home. She'll lead all the way. Miss Hepburn over Bizarre Package and Loctay. Fourth might have been Copy.
Yeah, Aidan de Campo trains and drives Miss Hepburn, who beat Bizarre Package, and Loctay in third. That was the Wasba 3-year-old Westbred Fillies WA Oaks at Bunbury over the 25.69 metres. And I tell you what, congratulations to the club and the team connected to the track, because the weather conditions were absolutely horrendous all day, Friday, Saturday in down the southwest, and they did a great job to make sure the meeting got held, and was really good to hold the Country Oaks worth $30,000 there, and well won by the favourite Miss Hepburn for Aidan de Campo, who no doubt goes into the Westbred heats on Monday at Pinjarra. The 3-year-old Westbred heats Pinjarra Monday, and the 2-year-old heats Gloucester Park Tuesday. No sign of the fields as yet. So as we record this podcast, I can't help you with the fields, although there should be 3 heats in all 4 races. So obviously the 2-year-olds are going towards the $215,000 final on the 6th of September, and the 3-year-olds have got 2 finals worth $100,000 on Westbred Night here at Gloucester Park on the 6th of September. Now, this segment is brought to you by Bayswater Mazda. Driving is better in a Bayswater Mazda, corner of Guildford and Garrett Roads, and there is no one better to see or who will look after you better if you're in the market for a new or used car, truck. Go and see them. 4-wheel drive, go and see Bayswater Mazda, corner of Guildford and Garrett Road. They will certainly look after you. All right, a couple of big meetings across the weekend. Friday, we've got a dual meeting with Gloucester Park at Wagen. We've also got Northam. And our man Ollie's all over the top of it, as well as Albion Park, as I welcome in Oliver Cownie. Ollie, welcome to the program.
Hey, Rads. Looking forward to all the good racing we've got coming up over the next few days.
Yeah, it's a great, very good start at Gloucester Park Friday. We've got Wagen as well, as I said, but rolls into the weekend, Albion Park, which hopefully you'll find a couple of winners, but the Menangle meeting's really good. We get to see Never Ending, and the Melton meeting as well, also pointed towards the Eureka. So across the East Coast, there's plenty of good racing on Saturday night.
Yeah, there certainly is. And that's going to be a really interesting race, in particular for WA interests at Menangle, with Never Ending going around and getting acclimatised to conditions over there at Menangle. I think it looks a race where Major Moth, you'd think it'd be really hard to beat, but if we see Never Ending flashing home at the end, I think everyone will be pleased with that, and it'll show he's primed and ready for the Eureka, which comes up in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, Tab Toucher got him 650 and 220 a place. The 220 a place looks okay, doesn't it?
I think it's one of those races where it's quite possible that Captain's Knock might zip off the gate and then hand over to Major Moth, and then it might just be all pegs dominated. I think at the moment Major Moth is the favourite for the Len Smith Mile, which is on the same night as the Eureka, and he's a really quality horse, Major Moth, and he's likely a horse that could be really competitive in some of the Grand Circuit races coming up. I've heard that Jason Grimson is keen to get him over to New Zealand as well, so that shows the opinion he's got of that horse. And from gate 10, Never Ending might just get back in the race, and it might just be impossible to get into it when he starts to. So he might be a really good run and still miss a placing there. I think you've got other really good horses in the race. Simply Sam, he was really competitive up in Queensland as well, and he has a good gate here. So I wouldn't be taking the current price on Never Ending. I think it'll get out quite a bit late.
All right, but I'll tell you, Major Moth, going to New Zealand, not taking Swayze now, Jason Grimson, but taking Major Moth to tackle Leap to Fame in the New Zealand Cup. So there could be 3 or 4 Aussie runners in the New Zealand Cup this year, which will add a great deal of interest.
That'll be really interesting. Obviously, it was great to see Swayze over there taking on Akuta, wasn't it, in that race? And fantastic race, and Swayze was just too good in the end after sort of getting the jump on Akuta. It was a great race, and I'm sure we'll have much of the same with a few Aussies heading over. I think Major Moth will be hardest to beat there outside of Leap to Fame, but Leap to Fame just has a long way on anything he's been taking on recently, so it's hard to see him beaten there, although I'm sure it'll be a great race nonetheless.
All right, we got Wagen on Friday night. There's 7 races, the first at 6:15. We jump to Northam on Saturday night, another 7-race card, the first at 5:36. They're the local meetings, and we'll get you to give us some Albion Park tips as well. Saturday night, 9 races there, the first starting at 3:39 WA time. Wagen, as I said, kicks off at 6:15 on Friday night. What do you got for us?
We'll kick off in race 4 here. A horse that I think's going really well at the moment, without a lot of luck, is Submariner. Drew awkwardly 2 back at Narrogin, did well to get into the clear there eventually late, and came very wide on the home turn and really powered into it late behind Just a Happy Man. Was taking a lot of ground off the winner there. Last start was just held up with nowhere to go and never quite got fully clear. Pecunious led and dominated that race, kicked right away, but I don't think the margin quite represents how he went there in that race. Submariner, I think he went a lot better than that. I think he can settle up on the pegs close enough, just can't have him shuffled too far back, and he can be running on strongly again at the finish, Submariner.
Well, they've got him $23 on the harness side. Hopefully we get some of that. What else you got for us?
In race 5, another horse that I think's going really well at the moment, My Little Big Man, draws behind a horse with gate speed, a Lucifer. It's taken the trail the last 2 starts. It's drawn 1, so I think it could do similar in this race, which would leave My Little Big Man 3 back to pegs. So I don't think that's too much of a concern over the 2,500. I think the run's likely to present there if they run along a bit at wage, and should get his chance, and his last 2 efforts have just been super, My Little Big Man. They've been much better than his prior form. He led 2 back and just dominated. He never really looked like losing there at big odds, and then last start he handed over, and Dark Eyes won that race. Dark Eyes got nabbed actually by Lamandia in that race, and he was a good third there as well. So I think that's good form for this race. Dark Eyes went on to win Tuesday night, so looks strong enough. And yeah, he might need a little bit of luck, but if he gets it, I think he can be right in the finish there, my little big man.
All right, a couple drawn inside the back line at Wagen. Is that all at Wagen? Do we head to Northam on Saturday night?
Yeah, heading to Northam, and we'll kick off in race 1 there. Miss Marco Polo hasn't had a lot of luck in recent starts. Showed some gate speed in both those starts and has just ended up parked out. Thought there's been a lot of merit in those runs. Battled on really well there, and think she can push onto the front here. And if that's the case, should be extremely hard to beat. Emily Savalco jumps on, which I think is positive. And yeah, she's been driving really well at the moment and should prove very hard to catch.
Yeah, Emily driving for Cody in the first, Miss Marco Polo, drawn the 2. Another one for Northern for us?
In race 3, Spudmeister ran really well on Tuesday. Did a lot of work there before being shuffled a long way back. Worked home strongly, made up a stack of ground there. And the winner was Pasquale, who's obviously a pretty smart horse, but came across the line with Sweet Lucifer and Prime Mover. There was a massive gap to third in that race. He's got a little bit of gate speed, so I think he can hold up at the start. And if he's able to do that, that should take him a long way to winning this race.
All right. Is that the 2 for Northam?
That's the 2 for Northam.
All right. Then we head to Albion Park. I tell you what, you found us a winner last week, Bronski Zulu. End up holding out a good price, but tell you what, a tip-top performance from the Donnie Smith-trained, Sneaky Graham-driven Bronski Zulu.
It was, and he's just flying at the moment, Donnie Smith. He's got a few nice horses in his stable now, and I'll be tipping us into one that I don't think it'll be any big odds later on, but he's going so well at the moment. And, yeah, Bronski Zulu looks another one of his nice horses.
Yeah, he's a good driver, Shane Graham as well, the great man, Sneaky.
He drove 5 the other day on one of the Q-Bred nights.
Just a lazy 5.
He is in good form, Shane.
Yes. All right, what do you got for us, Albion Park? There's 9 races. I tell you, it's a big Saturday night. As we've mentioned before, there's plenty of races at Milton that have Eureka flavour to it. Plus, we've got Never Ending going around in race number 2 against Major Moth and also Captain's Knock. And we also have Artie's Express going around in the Rangy Bill a little bit later on at Menangle. But Albion Park looks a good meeting as well. What do you got for us at Albion Park?
Yeah, there's plenty of good racing on Saturday. It'll be one of those nights where you just park up and watch all the races. It'll be really entertaining. I've got one for us in the first. The Rainbow Beach just hasn't had a good gate in recent times since he led all the way at Redcliffe in pretty fast time over the 2040. 156 for that circuit is pretty good going there around the half-mile track. Last start, he was a good third behind Sure Thing Captain, and the start prior had absolutely no luck after going forward. Couldn't get that position outside the leader and was forced to last, so that was just a total forgive there. He is a horse actually that's got a very good gate speed. I think he's totally underrated, and from gate 2, Congo Line isn't really a noted gate speed horse, so I think he can zip onto the front there and should be really hard to catch. It's a very strong race on paper. There's a few horses in this that are going well. Ultimate Magician, Congo Line is going well, and My Ultimate Carter is an interesting one, first up for the Jonah Hutchinson stable, but I do think that the Rainbow Beach should be really hard to beat.
All right, and should be a good what price do you think we'll get?
I'm hoping we get $4 or $5 for that one. That would be a good price, I think.
Okay. And what else you got for us down the card?
I've got a multi for us, a 2-leg multi. Race 3, Black Sedance. He's dropping right in grade gear. He's back to band 4-2 company, which is a massive step back from some of the stuff he's been contesting in recent starts. He obviously took on the Blacks of Fake behind Leap to Fame, and he didn't have a lot of luck there, dragged out of it. So that was a forgivable effort. And then his run last start was absolutely huge. He went just a tick over 150 there, parked outside the leader, Jim RT, who's absolutely flying at the moment, and he beat Turn It Up and Curly James, who are also going really well. So this start, I think back in grade, he can just force his way to the top here, and he'll be too good for them. I don't think he needs to find the front, but if he does, that'll just be times and margins after that. Yeah, the second leg of our multi.
I was about to say he's probably going to be short to to win, but he's got to be shorter to actually find the front, surely.
You'd think everyone would be pretty happy to get out the way, and he's got a few stable mates in the race. So I think if he doesn't find the front, whatever holds him out, it'll probably be finishing a long distance away.
They have to work really hard.
You think he would be?
Yeah, they're going to have to work really hard to keep him out. So, all right, what else you got for us in the second leg of the multi?
So the second leg of the multi in race 6 is, as I mentioned, Donnie Smith, Chinchilla. I think this is definitely now the best horse in Queensland. She's just been extremely impressive so far.
The best horse in
a few
Queensland.
Starts there. She ran an incredible race to win at Redcliffe on her second start in Queensland. She came from a mile back there and they went 1:53.7, which actually isn't far off the track record. So the sort of time she's rated off the track is just quite incredible. And then last start, she got to the front and absolutely dominated. She won by 16 metres over some nice horses, and her last half was just brilliant there. So I think she's probably the best mare Queensland's produced in a few years now. I think Uptown Beach Girl was one that recently really stood out and was able to take out a few nice races before she was retired. But Chinchilla looks really smart, and she could be a mare that really goes on with it here. And I think this race, it's just pretty much times and margins for her.
Well, you'd think so from the rap you gave her, because the Garrard's horse and our mares, you'd think should be too good for these. And as you said, Donnie Smith's been in great form, and we know Shane Graham's driving in great form as well. So you've got a formidable combination there. So a couple of tips there at Albion Park on the back of Wagen and Northam. Great to chat to you this week, Ollie. Really appreciate it. We'll listen to you Monday morning when you're back on Off the Pace with Timmy Walker, and hopefully Matt Young's back on Monday morning.
Yeah, I think he will be. Looking forward to it. Thanks, Ruds.
Good on you. Ollie Cownie there. Good on you, Ollie. We'll speak to you next week. Ollie Cownie, who's in great form. He found a winner at Albion Park last week for us in Bronski Zulu. Good price. It started $360, but you probably could have shopped around for a little bit better. And looks and sounds pretty confident this week across the 3 meetings that he tipped. All right, that wraps up the show. Thanks for listening. A really big thank you to Mike Tanev for taking the time to chat to us across the other side of the world. Bomber, as usual, was in great form, and so too Ollie. Hopefully we've found a few winners. As I said, next week we've got the great man, Glenn Mortimer, is back on deck, and not before time. We're all thankful that he's going to be back next week to add some sanity to the broadcast. I hope you've enjoyed the show. Until next week, it's bye for now.
Talking Trots with Morts and Michael Radley on Tab Radio, Racing and Sport.
Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelpline.org.au.